Hi, Gilda. I'm so happy to have you at the Joy of Being You podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I am excited for this.
I'm excited to have you too. I wanted to ask you to please introduce yourself to the listeners. And also, after your introduction, please share a little bit about your background and the challenges you faced.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Gilda Montenegro-Fix. I'm Costa Rican. I am living in the U.S. Right now I'm in Massachusetts. And I'm a mother, a proud mother of a 19-year-old. And I have worked in equity, diversity, and inclusion as a consultant, and I have my own company. I'm a world traveler, getting ready to go traveling again. So I'm super excited about that. That's why the inspiration behind
I love
it. Yeah. And the challenges. Wow. Okay. We could start with, I have early family years when my parents passed away were a big challenge. My dad died in a car accident when I was 8 years old. I am the fourth of 5 children, and my whole family had moved to Ecuador. So that was very hard for everyone. And a few years later, when I was 18, my mother passed away of cancer. And we were also living in Spain, a different country from Costa Rica. So both occasions were difficult, as you can imagine, from the loss of a parent, but also being isolated from family and friends and in a different country, different culture. So that was probably the first big challenges that I think I faced.
I mean, that's sounds horrible. Not only that you were young, but also, as you said, you didn't have any support system. Did you move around a lot with your family?
We moved a little bit from Costa Rica to Ecuador and then back to Costa Rica because of the death of my father, because we went there, he was working for the United Nations, but then he died. And then when we came back to Costa Rica, we left to Mexico and then to Spain because of my mom and her new husband. But that's it with my family. And then after she died, I came back to Costa Rica with my younger sister. But I think that those 3 moves in early childhood really planted a seed in all of us, because now the 5 siblings all live in different countries. Again, this is kind of the theme of this conversation. I think that the challenge in the beginning, leaving my country when I was little, was hard, but after some time I realized was actually a strength, that I could adapt to other places and actually developed a taste for it. And now I can't stop.
When we're in the pain, we can't see where we are headed, and it's hard to see the end. It's nice when people talk about their stories, that they feel it shaped them in a way, and they would have never become the person who they are today, which they're happy with, if they didn't go through these experiences.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to definitely be on the other side.
Also that when you can understand, when you can process your experience of pain and challenge and actually get the gems from it, I would never choose for my parents to have died, but because they died, I learned to be very self-reliant and independent and capable, right? Because we had to. And so I developed strengths that I think were because of the challenges. And some years later, because I was on my own, and I got into college, which I had always wanted to do, and then I got into whitewater rafting because I had the opportunity. And I believe sometimes if my parents had been alive, they might not have allowed me to do that, because it was kind of a new, dangerous sport. And I had the freedom to choose that for myself. And that in itself became a whole other opportunity of challenges and growth, and making it through some very big challenges in there that also were part of me becoming who I am today. So it's been an incredible life. I'm 58 and continuing to grow and learn and really marvel at the gifts that life offers us. And I would say a lot less afraid now because of those opportunities through the rafting, which, as I said, has even danger and adventure. You can do big, powerful rivers that can one time I almost drowned. And when you are in an environment like that, that takes so much of you, it also gives you a lot. I also
Mm,
learned, it was a gift for me to be in the river for 10 years. And we
wow.
call it the river, but there are many different rivers around the world. And I worked as a raft guide in, California and Canada and Colorado and New Zealand, West Virginia. So it
Wow.
was like a university, and it was hard, but it again cemented in me a belief in myself of what I can do. Every time you overcome a big rapid, or is
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. But before we go actually to the other side, I want to hear a little bit more about the challenges, and not necessarily the challenges, but what were you going through at that time? What was the difficult part about your experience? I mean, obviously, it is extremely difficult losing two parents, not
Mhm.
not having anyone to like lean on, having to find yourself so early at such a young age, taking responsibility fully for yourself and not having a place to fall back to.
Yeah.
But how did you go through that? How, when you were in it, what did
Mhm.
it feel like, and what was the most difficult part about it?
When my dad died, I remember being very afraid of our well-being as a family. And I think I remember the five of us kind of got together and said a prayer, because somebody told us that he had been in an accident and that if we prayed, he might be okay, which was obviously incorrect information. He had died in the accident. But the moment of us together sort of praying really did something, because I still remember that moment of us being together, the siblings. So I think it started this faith or belief that there's a greater power that would help us get through.
Mhm.
Because I felt as a child terrified, right? My dad had died, my mom was crying. It just, everything felt out of control. But there
Yeah.
was something to connect to, you know. And then later, when my mom died, how I felt was, wow, empty. I felt like my bones were gone, like I had nothing to sustain me. And what I think helped me at that point was the fact that I needed to function in the world. I was 18, and also I already had expectations of myself. And then I had a younger sister as well, and the two of us moved to Costa Rica from Spain. And so I had immediately to be responsible, to be able to work and have a home and take care of us, make sure we were okay. And so it was kind of like a survival mechanism, I guess, of like, okay, here are things that need to be done. Let's focus on that, because of
Wow.
the devastation of the loss.
So, like, the responsibilities that you had to take kind of took over.
Yeah, gave me direction and gave me
Mm,
motivation to not just melt, because I felt like what is life? What am I doing anymore? And
yeah.
me respond in that way. And I think that, yeah. And then from then on, I realized, we did going back to Costa Rica meant we had my mom's two sisters were
Hmm.
support, right? And so we immediately were more, held.
Supported,
Yeah,
supported.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if that's the reason why you moved back, or you were completely alone there, but it sounds like that you had a little bit more of a support system
Yeah,
when you moved back, but still had to. You said you were taking care of your sister, but then you also said that, and then you went to college, and then you did the rafting. Like,
yes.
so how did you obviously you're very young, you have to take care of your sister, there's a huge responsibility. Her life and your life are basically in your hands, right?
And
So how did you navigate that?
yeah, I think we were very, very close at the time. And I felt like, there was a responsibility. My mom literally asked me in her deathbed to take care of my sister, which I anyways wanted to do. And when we were in Costa Rica living together, so we lived with my aunties for like a month, and then we moved into an apartment, because I was also 18, right? So I'm young, but I'm also just on that cusp of becoming an adult. And so I
Yes.
wanted that. I wanted us to be able to support ourselves. So there was that combination of courage, personality and life, right? Life expectation. I was like, I'm going to go to college. I had all these dreams of going, and studying psychology. And my sister and I really kind of became like a team. So it wasn't so much me taking care of her, because 15 is not that young either. Like she was, I mean, it is young to lose your parents, but she wasn't a little kid that needed to be taken care of, right?
Got
So,
it. Got it.
so we kind of paired up, and I had that little bit of older, and I was able to like sign a lease or whatever, but we became a team. And in fact, when I got into the whitewater rafting, well, now I'm jumping. See, I'm always going to the positive. I don't linger in the pain
Yeah.
for very long.
Which
I was
is
gonna go
which actually says a lot about your journey, by the way. Just
right,
putting it
right.
out there.
I was going to share a story that I did study psychology and then started rafting just because by chance I met somebody that offered me to go on a trip, and I became the first guide in Costa Rica. And at one point I was studying and rafting on the weekends, and I wanted to go on longer trips. And it was my younger sister, the one that told me that I could do that. And when you say what helped you get over, I'm thinking I had to have an outside person tell me that I could do that I could take time off from college and go rafting,
Oh
because I
wow.
couldn't see it myself. And it wasn't like she was giving me permission. She was just saying the possibility exists,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that
yeah.
has happened again throughout my life when I've had people reflect back to me, oh, and you did this. It's very helpful to have somebody outside reflecting back to you what is possible, because sometimes you don't see it as clearly from inside. So
Yeah, I can see that. We think about our responsibilities, and sometimes we lose picture of the bigger picture. What else is out there for
yes,
me? So it sounds like
you're
that
in it. You're in
yeah,
the thing, and you're, like I said, sometimes survival, right?
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes when you're in a good state, you can see more. But I think you're right that my life pattern of overcoming and then feeling better and then seeing more has now left me in that position of like, here's the world. Where do I go next? Right? That
Yeah. When you were going through this difficult time, what kept you moving forward? Besides that you felt that you had to be responsible, right? Like what else was there for you that moved you, helped you forward? And I guess maybe you can say that that was your positive attitude too, like the way that you viewed the word. Maybe you want to talk about that, or
yeah,
was there anything else?
yeah, both. I think that one thing that I became aware of in my later years was that my parents instilled in us a really high level of ethic, professionalism, being. They loved us a lot. They worked hard. They took opportunities. They took leaps of faith. So we learned that, right? Not from them preaching at us, but because of what we lived together with them.
Mm,
So I think that kind of being born in that was something that then I could tap into in myself. And I think that both the love and the adventurous part that they had, right, and the love that they gave me and all of us, was something that is strength that then you can tap into. But also definitely my own personality, just kind of how I was born. And I'm somebody that tends to be happy and positive and look at the good things. And so that resilience kind of came genetically, or I was lucky to be born that way. And again, it's not, it's beautiful because it's not that life has been a piece of cake for me. And yet I believe that those challenges developed that even more. Maybe that original personality or that original gift got polished even more because of the challenges.
yeah, I mean, even the way you talk about your story, even when we met before the recording, you don't talk about your story as a devastation. You talk about your story as a gift. And I've talked to other guests about this on the podcast as well, that it's a part of healing, having that ability to
Mm,
look back and say, but look who I became because of that experience, and look where my life is because of that experience. I think that that's really
right.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because, I revisited the pain of my mother's death when I became a mother. When my son was born, oh my goodness, I wished that she was alive, right? That she could meet him, that he could meet her, that she would be there for me, for the birth, and to be an advisor and a support person and a grandma and a mother to me. So it is hard. It is not like you're just over it, and like grief is, you revisit it at different levels.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right that you start when you've been through. I don't think there's a way to overcome and heal other than through the pain. You have to go through it. You cry your tears. You feel your feelings. And I did feel, like I said, like I had no bones. It's the literal physical feeling that I had when she died. So it is devastating in that moment, and yet. I that's why I value your question so much of how do you move from there? How do you get through, and what helped you, right? And I think that I'm aware of a few things which we've shared, and I may even learn more as I grow older in my life. It's amazing.
What is the most valuable lesson you learned through that experience?
Well, I think that love is what matters most. Even though I was very affectionate, when they died, I felt like, especially with my mom, I felt like, and I was super hugging and kissing, Latinos, very affectionate, but I felt like I didn't tell her enough how much I loved her. And so that was something that I immediately turned into a positive, like, I'm going to tell people that I love them now. I'm not going to wait until they get sick or until I miss them or something. I'm going to do it now. And I think that becoming aware that love is all around us, and that we are love, and that love is what matters most in life, not money, not success, not, all those accolades or all those outer things. I would say that's my biggest lesson that I learned from. Yeah. And then beyond the family loss, the biggest lesson I got from the rafting and the participating in the Olympics and kayaking and being challenged, being the first and only woman from all of Latin America and in a big, dangerous river against people who were the elite of the world. I mean, I felt like I didn't belong. Like, what am I doing here? But I managed, and then eventually had my result, which was what I aimed for, which was to complete a very difficult river all the way. Like, that was very challenging time too, that I think gave me the gift of trust in myself and self-confidence. The things that I can do. And it's almost like, because I had already experienced the difficulties of the losses, that I knew I could survive and I could endure. That strength in myself then prepared me for these other things later in life that were also very challenging and also formed and gave me strengths. But that, like, why, how dare you? Why do you think you can go to the Olympics? Like, I think that came from there. And then that gift of having done it and be able to, even now in my work, when I had challenges, my husband's like, you competed in the Olympics, remember? And then I go like, you're right. I should be okay with this. So it's like a little thing in your backpack that you say, I got some things I've done.
Yeah.
I can face new challenges.
Wow, that's very, very powerful, because once again, you're looking at your life by not what happened to you, but what you have gained from it, right? So that's resilience, believing in yourself, trusting yourself. Like, you didn't lose trust. You lose trust in life, and you didn't lose trust in yourself. You actually gained. Yes. Oh, wow.
I have this as a reminder on my desk, because
Trust.
When we moved here only 4 years ago, from Oregon to Massachusetts, I was reminded to trust with a capital T, that I would need to do that. And I'm like, okay. So I'm still on that path in a way of trusting deeper. Right now, we're ending our period here and going to a new stage. And I'm like, I don't know how it's going to work out. In 2 months, we hand this apartment, and we don't know yet where we're going. And my son is leaving, doing his own adult life. And so it's like, wow, so many questions. And I used to be very controlling and wanting to, and it made sense after the things that had happened in my early life, that I wanted to control things so I could feel safe, because the biggest question was, are we going to be okay? Remember when my dad died? I was like, I don't know if we're going to be okay. When my mom died, I was like, who am I? What is life? Kind of lost that whole sense of self. And so I've regained all that. And so now to trust with a capital T is like trust not just in myself, but in life. So now that trust goes beyond to not just like I can do it and I can, achieve things, but now it's like, okay, I'm going to just open to the beauty of life and receive what's here for me and meet it with love and trust, expecting that something beautiful is coming, even though I don't know what it is. And I could worry and try to control, but why? If I can let go and open up to receive and expect something positive, that probably the outcome's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because that's the path that I have been on in the past year. I started focusing on that no matter what happens, I am actually supported. I didn't feel supported for a long time, and I didn't feel like I belonged, and I felt really, really alone. And I was grieving my mom, and where I am, I wouldn't say the result, but it was a part of that grieving period when I hit rock bottom, and I said, okay, it's either done now, and why is it not? I'm like, why am I still here? Or I need to turn this, because I deserve much better. Like I had two thoughts that helped me to kind of like move forward. One was that I deserve better because I'm actually a good human being. I knew myself. I knew who I was.
Nice.
And the other thing, that my mom can't live the life and couldn't live the life that I'm living. And how unfair it is if I'm here wasting it away.
Right.
It was almost like honoring her by taking the one step forward in the direction that I felt like I deserved to, and she also deserved to go towards, right? So I'm carrying her with me. I'm like, okay, Mom, we're gonna have an experience that we haven't had, and then she's kind of like always in that experience with me.
Yes.
But that also that had to come together with what you said, trusting life. Because it's one thing that you trust yourself, and you trust yourself. You even said that it's control.
Yeah.
Like I trust myself that I have the ability that I can do whatever I need to do, which is wonderful. And I think that it's really important. But where's the duality? The duality is that, here I'm not an isolated something in this universe. I am living in this universe. And the trust is not just to me, but everything that's around me, because I think that is literally one of the most powerful things that we can learn, saying that I trust everything that happens to me, and I also trust the universe that it's here to support me. And you said, I am expecting a positive outcome.
Yes.
It cannot happen any other way.
We can live life believing we're victims of what happens. And I think that when we choose not to be victimized, and we, gather our strength and get our ducks in a row and start through the stage of making things happen and, being creative, believing in ourselves, going for it. I think that's fabulous too. And it's a very powerful stage. I've been in that stage for probably, since my mom died until 2 years ago. Of creating a lot of my own future. But then I started to soften on that and to look back and think, wow, yes, I made a lot of things happen. Yes, I started my own company. Yes, I made it to the Olympics. Yes, yes, yes. And life was there, giving me the opportunities, giving me the support, putting the doors in front of me. And I chose to walk through them. So I didn't do it all myself.
That was co-creation.
Yeah. And so then I started to loosen that grip of like, I have to and I can. And I mean, that's wonderful. When you've been hit or defeated, you have to start that way, right? Regaining your power. And but then there's more, is what I'm excited about now, is that we get to this level of saying, if I trust, if I recognize that life has been good to me and that there are good people and good things here for me, and I can believe and trust and then start to see that more. This is how our brain works. I mean, I teach perception and bias and how we create things, right, with our thoughts and our expectations. So, but beyond the beliefs and the thoughts, my life experience shows me that I was always taken care of. There was always some degree of order to the plan and how things work out,
And I
how
do
we're moving
believe that.
to the next. It's beautiful. And then when we can relax a little bit more into that, we can breathe deeper. We can soften the tension and the
Let
stress.
go. Yeah.
Life becomes beautiful. I mean, look at this. Look at this little rose
Oh, yes.
just
I
opening
love
up,
it.
right? And this
Yeah.
is a gift. Like, I think life is abundant and exuberant and kind and beautiful. And when we sit back and stop trying, we can hear the birds and see the plants and kind of get into that flow and recognize
Yes.
it and become part of it. And then we allow the river to take us, right?
Oh my gosh, I just love every single word you're saying. Yes, 100%. When we do what you were talking about, co-create with the universe and accept the fact that this is not all me by myself. There
Exactly.
is a something bigger out there. And then that you also said that it was a destiny, that every single thing you went through was written ahead of time. And I like a little bit lost, I believe. I think that I'm coming back to that, but it's so true. That when you get to this flow, when you get to this place, when you're like, I accept the co-creation and I
Yes.
trust
Mm.
that everything I need is being provided because it has been provided.
Yep.
This has been the story. This is the past. This is not a lie.
And that is when you see the obstacles as the gifts.
Wow.
They were the thing that you needed to overcome so that you could learn, so that you could become. It was never like, life is terrible and all this is happening to me. It looks that way for a while. And then
Yeah.
we grow out of that. And it's beautiful. I think that when more of us get that and connect in that level,
Mm-hmm.
oof, what is possible for our humanity is
Oh my
amazing. And
gosh.
I believe that is happening now. I believe that is what is happening now. And
I'm getting chills, by the way.
thank
Like
you.
in my entire body, I'm sitting here and I just like started getting chills. Oh yeah, true, true. It
Yes.
is. It is. Oh my gosh. I mean, the energy when we can live in this co-creation and trust. That's just. I think that is the most powerful thing.
When you said that you're honoring your mom and doing it with her and for both of you, I mean, that's beautiful. And I feel the same. I often in my trainings of cultural agility, I would tell people what we do for all of us.
Yeah.
When we grow, when we heal, this benefits all of us. When we learn how to treat people with more kindness, it benefits the world. So us becoming peace and
Yeah.
beauty and kindness, this is our way to change the world. We don't have to go out there and fight and blah.
No.
Like, it's just right here, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
When you
And then
start
great.
living from your heart
Yeah.
to yourself in your life, those are different rules. Those are
Yeah.
this different set of rules. You don't need rules there because your heart rules. you know.
And it's a beautiful, I think and it's not easy. It's not like, oh, I do that every day now. I'm like, no. Sometimes, some days I still go like, oh, but where are we going to go? And should I be doing this? And should I start getting rid of things? And it's still 2 months. So I'm trying to find the balance, right? I'm currently
Yeah.
in that, okay, let me breathe. Let me feel good first, and then make the decision about what I am going to do, if I'm going to do
Mm,
it, right?
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm very lucky too to be married to a wonderful, wonderful man who is very much on the same path and helps. We mirror to each other when we feel that one of us is caught in a spiral of thinking and worrying or something negative or petty, and
Mm-hmm.
so we can remind each other to step and look at it from a perspective. And then I think one of the most important things I have learned also is to first calm yourself, first feel good, then decide if you are going
Mm-hmm.
to do something or what you are going to do. Because when you're triggered, that's just going to come sideways. That's energy that's not harmonious. And so when we do things from fear or from concern or worry, it's either wasted and unnecessary or even harmful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're actually going stepping back instead of moving forward
Yeah.
because there is no trust there. Moving forward comes with trust. There are a
Yes.
couple of things that stuck with me when you were speaking and sharing your story, and one of them was you said that they used to like do the grasping, the controlling, and like being in your power and doing everything with your power, which was amazing. Like creating, you were a creator, right? But then you said that about 2 years ago, you had this shift when you started to soften and become more relaxed and started recognizing that you didn't do everything by yourself, that there was something outside of you also present in those moments and supporting you in those moments. What happened 2 years ago that made this shift for you? What
Yeah.
was the process
So
inside of you?
yeah, it's funny because I'll tell you the what happened on the outside, and then I'll tell you what happened inside. We moved here from Oregon, where I had my business and I had all my clients and successful business that I had run for, let's see, 15 to 21, 6 years, 7 years at that point. So when we moved to Massachusetts, I had clients, work lined up, and it was all on Zoom. So it didn't matter that I was here in Massachusetts working with people in Oregon or wherever. And then that started to change because, after COVID and people stopped doing everything on Zoom, people wanted, again, consultants and presenters to come in person. And I hadn't developed all my connections here, my business base here in Massachusetts. And I just couldn't see myself doing it from scratch, And also what happened is that in Oregon, I never had to build marketing because I was so embedded in the community and people knew me and liked my work style and my ethics. So when I opened up shop, people just said, come and work with our people. And it was wonderful. And it just grew word of mouth and recommendations and repeat clients. So when moving here, which in the beginning seemed like no big deal because I'll continue to work, eventually started to kind of get less. And so my income was reduced and I started to think, okay, how do I make my business successful again financially, right? So I decided to take this business coaching training, which I was very excited about it when I started because I thought not only will I improve my business, but I'll be able to support other people, especially women entrepreneurs, especially women of color that are starting their own businesses, to succeed. But I had very much the financial gain motivation. I also the human and the fulfillment side, which of course is what mattered. But the money was kind of this thing. And so as I took the training, which was very much about how to have a successful, financially successful business, I started to realize that that wasn't my goal. I was like, I'm not just doing this for the money. I have to enjoy and love what I'm doing and have passion for it. And I didn't want to do all this like post 1,000,000 times a day and all this social media. I was like, that's not me. That's not how I operate. So I started through the course to recognize and see more of myself and what had happened for me and how my business became successful. And I was like, this is not the way I'm going to do it. And this is not how I want to coach other people to do it. It's a great system and it works for some, but it doesn't work for me. So the whole course helped me recognize more my own path, my own style, my own personality, and what I wanted to do. So then I thought, okay, so if I don't do that, what do I love? So I went back to running retreats, which I love and have done and would love to do again. And I did run one more retreat, but then I still thought there's something more. And I just felt this like desire to slow everything down and just listen deeper into myself. And it just kind of happened so I finished my course and then, like I had all the training, but I was like, yeah, but that's not what I want to do. And I just naturally, because of the process, started to slow down. And I've now been, I've done other things that have come and have been different, but it wasn't like just make money, just succeed, just have the business. It was like, oh, this opportunity came and I explored it and I traveled with it. And then that didn't happen. And then this other thing, or not didn't happen, it happened, but it was contained in itself. It wasn't like an ongoing business. And so I've more and more started to say, I don't want to have to work to make a living. I believe we are worthy of a good life and well-being because of who we are and by sharing our gifts in a way that's natural and effortless. So then my focus has become ease and flow. How do I live a beautiful life, an abundant life with ease and flow? And that's what's been happening. And so the questioning, which continues, is now deepening into the trust. Deepening into trust. That's why trust with the capital T, because now it's like, well, where's the money going to come from? Well, from wherever it is, because I'm going to know that it's going to work out. Right.
Mm.
And things worked out. I was able to sell a property I have in Costa Rica. And now my husband and I are like, we're just going to travel and follow our bliss and see and let it unfold as to what is the next thing that we need to do. And we don't have any more properties, but it's not like, you know what I mean? It's not like this attachment to how things work out in the 3D world. I'm not worried anymore. I just know that the right thing will come and I will know what it is. And that was one of the biggest things that happened during that course. I decided I am going to trust myself to know when I need to make a change or what I need to follow. Instead of somebody telling me, I'm going to know. Right. And so I am now feeling like if I ever wanted to share, like we're doing now, my life experience, I can teach from experience, not from some theory that somebody taught me. Right.
Yeah.
I can share my life experience and how it happened, just like we're doing right now. I love your questions because they're so good at guiding us to, well, what happened and how did that impact you and how did you come out of it? And the gifts that came from that. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I heard you talking about your story, and even like as you were going through the loss of your parents and you were 18 when you lost your mom, and how you overcame that and how you approached it from being accountable, responsible from that perspective, and then the gifts that they have given you, the love you carried the love with you, even while they were not here, right? So that's beautiful, and I think that it's also very powerful. But then I also heard another part of your story. You created this persona who was very powerful and a creator and could do so many different things. You overcame losing your parents, then you finished college, then you said that you were the only woman who were rafting, and then you went to the Olympics. So you kept going, and then you had your own business, and then you started over many times as you were traveling. So there's so much there. There's so much creation. But then I see this other beautiful transformation which happened to you 2 years ago. I feel like you were bummed up on this spiritual path. Like, wait a second, there's trust. And I think that part is just so powerful. So what I was going to share before, my spiritual name is Bhakti Jivankar. Shakti is the creator. Bhakti is the devotee. When I got my name, Bhakti, and I'm like, what? I'm the survival. I came to this country by myself, $300, 2 suitcases, not speaking the language, didn't have papers for a long time. I mean, just the stuff that I have been through, I had to survive. But there's a huge difference of creating and surviving and thriving. There's a huge difference when we are creating with trust in ourselves and the source or the universe or life or whatever it is, whatever we want to call it. So like my spiritual teacher told me that when you understand what your name means, that's when you're going to start living. And I was like, and I tried to understand this for many years. This happened 10 years ago. And now I started understanding. Like the bhakti, the devotion, I'm living in the devotion. I'm like, okay, so what do you want my soul?
Yes.
So I'm constantly in listening mode.
Yeah.
I'm not the driver.
I'm thinking, Eva, from something I just recently integrated, that your soul is also, besides the brain into the body, there's an intuitive part of you that's receiving and processing. And I think, because I do feel like we talked before, like there's gradual. I was always spiritual to a degree since I was little. My mom meditated, did yoga. We went to the Theosophical Society. And so there have been always little
seeds.
Yes, seeds and paths and gifts and opportunities. And so like in this last couple of years, it isn't like just one thing happened. Yes, there were some things that happened that marked it and made it easier to see. But I think gradually there's always this thread, right? And like you said, the arrow, you're always heading in the destination that you need to go. And it's beautiful. And I think when we see it that way, life becomes this unfolding.
Yes.
And so the you understanding your sacred name, your spiritual name, and then that's when you start living. I think you've been living all along. I would give value to every day then there's a different level, maybe, right? Like another level.
Yes.
And so now I'm detecting in my own life, first of all, there were many differences. I'm like, wow, I'm transforming. I'm not like this anymore. I'm not always trying to control. I'm not, like I'm noticing where the softening has begun. And I'm excited to go more in that direction, right? To more inner work than outer, which doesn't mean that I won't be doing things in the world, but they will come when it's the right time. I trust the timing of things. I don't want to push or decide or make happen anymore. I want to be open and receive and allow and respond appropriately because it emerges in my heart and in my being that it's time to do something.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. And it's so magical because everything that happens, it's magic. Because it's not you meddling. I get ideas sometimes and then when I follow through, which like sometimes the follow through is really hard because I really have to put myself out there. I have to reveal the person, the soul, and every single thing about myself. So it's
Right.
and it's risky. But when I do, even doing this podcast, I mean, I'm like putting it all out there, right?
Eva, I see the gifts only. I don't see the risk. I see that the vulnerability is beautiful. It's inviting. It makes you human. It connects you with other people. It opens other people's hearts because they can relate. So there isn't really that much risk. What's the risk that somebody will laugh or not like it? Too bad. You know what I mean?
I hear you, but inside it doesn't feel that way. But the result, and I do believe what you're saying, but I feel like what happens after and how it ripples. It's a ripple effect. It's not just me. It's not just about me. It's about the experience that other people start having because I follow through on something.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, like when that happens, then I become a devotee. I'm a devotee just by following through. But when that happens, I just completely humble down and I'm like,
because you're living your role.
but I also say I had nothing to do with this. I am just a person who's taking the action. My hands are being moved. Then I go down on my knees and I said, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, gratitude is always the right response and the right attitude because again, life is such a gift every time that we can wake up and breathe and see what is here. Gratitude is the appropriate response.
How do you think we can bring that magic back into this world? We talked about this a little bit before. If everybody would feel this way in this world, I mean, imagine. I don't even know what would happen because I think that the energy would just explode. You know, but like, how can, because this is magic. This is bringing magic back into life.
I believe exactly in the way that we are doing it right now. You follow your bliss, you follow your guidance to have a podcast. We get connected by beautiful people, and I say yes, and we share openly and vulnerably from our hearts, and people will hear this and it will touch them in certain places of their lives, memories, activate something, remember something, and then give them a gift to encourage them to do something they wanted to do and that wasn't their life path. And then it just continues. It's possible. I think it's less complicated than we think. And it comes right back to the heart, to just what does your heart tell you? And can you, like you said, follow through on that and have the guts to do it scared. This is what I've done. I've done the rafting scared and the living scared and done it anyways. And now I don't feel as scared anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we are up in our brain and like analyzing, going from this, like, I need to figure this out, I'm in control kind of mindset, to coming into our hearts, how, like, what do you think that could help people to come into their hearts and out of that analytical mind? So more people are living this magical life.
Yes. So one of the things I say in my trainings is don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you think. Just because a thought comes through doesn't mean that it's the truth or your truth or necessary or important. So creating space between who you are and the thoughts and then the actions that you take. So when we create space between the thoughts, when we create space between our actions, there is more more opportunity for your true self to emerge and to come, your intuition, your heart to speak to you. So I think it's just the softening, the creating space, like make your life more simple if you can, and I know
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Make your life more simple?
I
Like
think that,
specifically, like if you can give specific answers. Sorry.
Yeah. For example, if you sign up for a class and you have a dog and you have kids and you want to do too many things, you are going to be overwhelmed. Some of these things, like your children, you can't just give them back, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that extra class or pet or whatever is optional, really think about it and really guard your time, guard your peace. Sometimes we just take on and on and on because we think we should. Well, that's not true. So become really clear at discerning what do you really have to do, and can you create calm, space for calm around that? That creates the space. When we are relaxed, life looks different. When you're stressed and overwhelmed, you're always we know this, right? The chemicals in the body, the adrenaline, the rush, the stress, and it's hard to get out of that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
But we do it to ourselves to a degree, right?
Yes.
And so everybody has different situations, and everybody can, in their own way, just find those little gaps and make them bigger if you can.
Yeah.
And so when we do that, I believe that's when the opening is there for more, to change your perception, your point of view, to come out of victim mode, to have more oxygen in your lungs and in your brain, and then more space can create. I believe we're all loving by nature. So when we have the space for our natural being to come through, we will be kinder, we will be more loving.
Yeah.
And then that change in the world happens. But if we're busy and stressed all the time, then we get this crazy apparent world of fight and
fight or flight.
Yeah, but it's not necessary. I think we can opt out.
Yeah.
Of
I love what you said. And if I really wanted to simplify it, I really do think that where our nervous system is, that's where our life is. And how we control our nervous system, I think that, as you said, like it's slowing down, and there are obviously like many different ways. Some people do yoga and with meditation, they actually slow down enough to realize what are the things that are unnecessary in their lives and what are the things that they are just doing as a habit automatically, instead of, like sometimes you don't want to say no if they feel uncomfortable with it. And then you start kind of reorganizing your life with that. So I do 100% agree with you. It's literally where our nervous system is. As soon as the nervous system calms down, the heart can open up. Yeah, and it's so powerful because it's not simple, but it's much more simple than we think, and it's possible.
It starts with acknowledging that we have agency, that we have a remit, that we have the ability to respond. For example, yesterday, I spent time deleting all these subscriptions I have in my email. Like I deleted like 12,000 emails, and I'm like, I'm not going to subscribe to anything anymore. I want quiet. I want peace and quiet. I want to hear about very few things that I really love and I'm really interested in. So we have that ability to start making space and saying no to things that don't resonate with how we want to feel. And it is important that we do. And so that is how we start reclaiming our peace, our time, our love, our sanity, and how we become kinder in the world.
So good. So good. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for sharing your story. I just see that you radiate, like your energy, you're so positive. I just love it. Love it. So I so appreciate you, and I celebrate you here. And I'm really honored to have this conversation with you.
Such a pleasure to be here with you and to have the opportunity. As we've been talking, I become aware of things and things come up. So it's a process that you're eliciting. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And before we finish, our conversation, I want to ask you 3 more questions that I ask from every guest.
Mhm.
The first one is, what advice would you give to your past self who was struggling?
I guess I don't think I have advice for myself when I was in pain because my parents died, other than, yes, it will get better. But I remember when people told me that, and it sounded empty. So I think I just send love to that part of me that had to go through those painful times. And I'm very proud of her for having done so. Um, and then in my later years, when I struggled, it's funny because I don't remember myself in a struggle. I remember myself going through challenges and doing the thing, but not like sitting there, I'm struggling. More like, okay, this is hard and I'm doing it. So again, I would just pat myself in the back and say, keep going, keep believing in yourself. That whole trust
So good.
me.
It's like you didn't get stuck.
Yeah, no.
You didn't get what I hear you say, that, as you said, you were moving forward. You were going through the struggle, but what I also heard, you did not get stuck in that pain. You were
Mhm,
literally moving through it. And
mhm,
you repeated that a couple of times during the podcast. So it just kind of like hit me again.
mhm,
That's very powerful.
mhm.
And I just really wanted to highlight the difference in between, like, yes, we all go through stuff, but sometimes we get stuck. I was stuck in my trauma. Like,
Mm.
without it, like, I am not even gonna lie about it. Like, this is why I actually created this podcast too, because when I got through it, I was like, wait a second, I now understand how to get through it. And it took
Yes.
me a long time. I was like sitting in there for a long time, you know?
The joy of being you. What a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful title. And it's funny because when Jorna called me, I had just put a post on Facebook, said, what my superpower is joy.
Mhm.
Like, and she's like, oh, I need to connect you with Eva.
I love it.
Because
And I love
I
she
was
did
like,
it.
yeah, this is, and so, and I had a training that I created that was called Recapture Your Joy for like executives, if they're doing the work, but they have kind of, I think, staying connected to our true self. And I believe that joy is our true inner energy of life,
Yeah.
And so all we need is to remove the stuff that's on top, that's
Yeah.
obscuring it.
Yeah.
That's why make space. That's why slow down, because the beauty is already here and it just wants to come through. But we've pushed a lot of stuff on top of that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's life and it's trauma. But again, if those came as gifts to help us remember even more about ourselves, about how amazing we are,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we talked about this, and I have 2 more questions, but just
Yes.
want to tie a little conversation that we had before we started the recording about how everybody's story is different. But there is one thing, the storyline is different, the lessons sometimes similar, but there's one thing that I've heard every single time I had a conversation with someone, that they become who they really are. Like, it just, like, literally, as you exactly what you said, just taking these layers off so you allow this true nature to come through. And that true nature is like the joy, and the joy of being you is symbolizing not just that we are here to be, but it's like really like joy of being who you are. And like just that trust, that like I don't even know how to express
Well,
it.
that we are good enough, because one of the lies that many of us have believed is that we were missing something, lacking something, not good enough. And so that's a lie. We
Yeah.
need to realize that's a lie, right?
Yeah.
And that, like you said, 8 billion people, we are one piece in this puzzle of humanity. Each one of us is necessary. So
Yes. Yes.
when we really get that I am important, I am needed, I am valuable, then we live life differently. So
Yes.
I think that's what you were alluding to.
Yeah, 100%. So good. Thank you for that. What is the biggest lesson you learned on your journey?
Trust and love.
Trust and love.
Yeah. That we are it and that we can trust ourselves and life.
What advice would you give someone who is going through similar challenges you have been through?
Hmm. I would, to any challenge, I would say ask for help and love yourself more. we can, when we reach out, when we have the intelligence and the humility to ask for help, because both are needed, right? You need to recognize, I can't figure this out myself, I need help. But also it's a smart thing to ask for help, because somebody who's not in the same hole that you are in that moment can help you out.
Yeah.
And so that's key. And if you love yourself more, if you start believing that you're worthy, you'll come out, you'll find the way, you'll remember.
If you love yourself more, and you said, and if you find out that you're worthy.
Yes.
Whoa.
And
then you come out on the other side.
Yes, it could feel like you're fake it till you make it, that I'm worthy. When you don't feel worthy and they tell you you're worthy, you're like, yeah, right. But start fake it till you make it. Doesn't matter. Whatever helps you do that. Think about one thing that you do well and start giving yourself credit for that, right?
Yeah.
You've overcome, and just really kind of put money in the bank of self-love, bits and pieces and memories and examples, and just keep building that up, because that is the truth.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would love to share with the listeners that you think it's important as last thought?
Sure. What comes up, and that's why I'm smiling already, children, dolphins, butterflies, like what brings you joy? That's a great shortcut. If you ever feel anything less than joy, think of joy. Think of what brings me joy. And it could be anything for anybody, but like use those shortcuts in a good, positive way. For me, to think about children and the future that we can create for our humanity, it's easy to get happy. They are full of innocence and joy and sparkles and laughter. And then I can be like that, right? So help yourself by switching, what you focus on, as you said, and make it something good.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your wisdom, your sparkle. I just loved having this conversation with you, and I love seeing you smile. So thank you so much for taking this time and for your vulnerability and everything. Seriously, I'm honored to have you on the podcast. Thank you.
I've enjoyed it tremendously. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.